Hi guys, Cindy Botch from Pole Homeschool Support Group here. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about truancy. People think that going on homeschool will get you out of a truancy issue. That's false. As a matter of fact, truancy counts here too, and it especially accounts here at the Pole Homeschool Support Group and Resource Center. There are laws that go along with truancy, and we all have to take into consideration our own state laws. I'm going to go over Kentucky's state law first, and then I'll go into West Virginia. If you are part of another state and you have any questions, please just ask. Homeschooling is not for everyone. This is very important to know. Homeschooling is not an excuse for you to sleep in the morning. It's not an excuse for you to miss out. It's not an excuse for anything. If you're being bullied, you're not getting an education that you need, you're not getting your grades up, and you need that extra help, by all means, try homeschooling. But don't waver back and forth. So there are many reasons that people homeschool, but the question is, are they the right reasons? Truancy counts at Pole. This is the policy of our homeschool group, okay? Records reviews should be done every 6 to 8 weeks. These records reviews are not done because I need something to do. The truth of the matter is, I do this because of the fact that if the child's accounted for, and I can see that the child is not being malnourished or beaten or abused or scared or living a stable life, and they're clean, then guess what? Your child is okay. So when I have a social worker knock on my door and ask me for a file, I can back you up. Records reviews should not happen any less than 10 weeks. So you should not go past 10 weeks between records reviews. This checks the educational path of the student, and it also does a well check on the student to back you up. Don't run from truancy. The CDWs, our court designated workers, are here to help. Homeschooling does not save you from the court system. Welcome to Kentucky law. If you look at the graph that you see there, truancy accounts for 36% of the status offenses of juveniles. The law, KRS 620.010 describes children's rights. Children have certain fundamental rights which must be protected and preserved. These include, but not are limited to, the rights to adequate food, clothing, shelter, the right to be free from physical, sexual, or emotional injury or exploitation, the right to develop physically, mentally, and emotionally to their potential, and the right to educational instruction, and the right to a secure, stable family. If I feel your child is being neglected on any of these areas, I am a mandated reporter and I will make the call. The minimum definition for neglect is failure to provide for a child's basic needs. This can include physical neglect, educational neglect, emotional neglect, and excessive corporal punishment. That means you can't beat your child and leave marks on them. It is not against the law in the state of Kentucky to spank your child as long as you do not leave marks on your child. I heard this firsthand from social services. I have asked these questions. If you know a student or a child and you can give me all the basic information on the child, don't be scared to call. Call me, I'll make a phone call. I think that the students oftentimes when they're homeschooled, they're overlooked, and this is not going to be done here anymore. I mean, I haven't done it in the first place. I make sure that I call, but I'm putting this out here so everybody can see it. This is called a warning tape. That means if your child is experiencing any of these and I see it, hear it, or know about it from anybody else included, I will be making a phone call on behalf of your student. Negligence is defined as inadequate or dangerous child rearing practices. It may not produce visible signs, and it usually occurs over a period of time. It is failure or lack of prudent care for the child's well-being through lack of adequate supervision, which is something a lot of the students have that usually have parents who unfortunately have to work. Both parents have to work. They don't have a whole lot of supervision, so they kind of get away with a lot of stuff and snow the parents over. Lack of food, clothing, shelter, education, or medical care. Some examples of this are lack of proper supervision, failure to see that the child attends school, denial of necessaries of life, food, water, and clothing, denial of medical treatment, abandonment, malnutrition, failure to thrive. My biggest problem is number 1 and number 2 are the ones I usually see here. This needs to change. If I find out your child is not doing their work, not only am I going to call the Department of Social Services, but 2, I'm going to write you a bill for the remainder of your file. I'm going to write a letter to the court, and I'm going to request your child be put back in school. Educational neglect is defined as parents failing to ensure that their children are provided an education consistent with the standards adopted by the state. Some acts which are considered educational neglect may include failure to enroll or register the child in school, inattention to special education needs, and allowing chronic truancy. If your child is not coming in here and they are not completing their work, they are considered chronic truant. Court-designated workers are found in each county. I can go to them and file an affidavit and a complaint. The diversion process is what they will put them in. Oftentimes it'll last 6 months to ensure that the student will comply with conditions. If they complete it successfully, they can be dismissed from their case. If they do not complete it successfully, or they're put on more than one diversion, they can be set for formal proceedings in front of a judge. Complaints are known as public offenses or status offenses, are non-criminal forms of juvenile behavior such as running away from home, skipping class, tobacco offenses, exhibiting beyond control behaviors at home or at school. Public offenses are the same as adult crimes. Please know that. The CDW has a program set up if I send you through them, and they have to complete the diversion process. For students of certain age, there's the Kentucky Academic Academy for troubled teens. They go in, it's kind of like a boot camp. If you're interested in that program, and I think you have to be like 15 or 16, if you will call me, I will get you hooked up with the right officer. CDW, the child doesn't even have to be in trouble in order to do this. However, most of the time they are. Let's talk about West Virginia. Okay, there's no law for educational neglect that is on the books of West Virginia. However, the DPPs, which is the District of Pupil Personnel in that county, are really, really awesome when I tell them the students are not keeping up with what they're supposed to be doing. They have no problem taking my refusal of service and placing your child back in the back in the school. You need to make sure that you are following the homeschool laws of your state, because if you are not, that can also be looked at as educational neglect, and the social workers will contact me to find out why the student has not been in here and what they've done, and that's why we have the county files that we have. Please consider this video your warning. I will not give you any warning from here on out. Please keep the agreement within the contract that you signed to be part of POL. Students should be in here for records reviews every 6 to 8 weeks, no longer than 10 weeks. And records reviews gives you a backup if the work is being done and all is well with the student and the family. If you're having problems, please come to me and ask me for assistance or a place to go. I would rather to get you help, and if you ask for help, it's less trouble than it is for you to get busted doing something or for you to get found out doing something because somebody accidentally saw or whatever. Don't put yourself, and please don't put me in this predicament, but I want to thank you guys for taking a minute to listen. And I put this on here, that way you guys can go back and re-listen to this, and you can let your students hear this. Because when a social worker visits your home, you do not have to let that social worker in. However, if the social worker feels that you are missing something, they do have a right to go get a warrant. If they go get a warrant, it's probably not going to be a good situation. Allow the social worker to see your child and make a well check. Also inform the social worker that you are on a homeschool status and you are a private school. Let them know that you're a private school through here and that they are welcome to contact me. Once you get contacted by a social service worker, you need to be making arrangements to get into the office so a records review can be done and we can discuss what to do to help your child get on the right educational path to not be truant. I wanted to just take a second to tell everybody I appreciate your support. However, I want to let you know what's the truth. Now, you're hearing this from my voice. You know it's me because you know how blunt I can be. But if I'm not telling you this and I'm just making these phone calls, you would kind of be mad at me. But guess what, guys? You've been warned. Just being honest. Have a blessed day. Talk to you soon.